Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a great day in Nelson, BC. Again, we're going to get some sunshine by the looks of it today. So yesterday was a great day, and today it's going to be a better day because we have all the things we learned from yesterday to add to today. And plus the fact we're going to meet some more new people today and learn some more things. So I'm going to take a few minutes and share the subject of discussion and some recommendations that came out of that discussion by several people. There were some fellows, a couple of people I worked with, and a couple of people I met, old friends and new friends, and these are things that we sometimes don't talk about in a marriage or relationship. And it seems like it takes the harshness of death to remind us the importance of some things that we should do or we haven't done. And the purpose of this presentation is just to bring forward a couple of topics that are really important. So let's go back to some pretty basic stuff. Insurance. Insurance for your car, insurance for your house, and also your contents in the case of fire. It's really important to have that stuff in place. And also the fact that a will for guidance for the people that are remaining after death. A will is really important because without the will, the people who are left behind don't really understand what the heck the recommendations are from you, or you and your wife, for the people who have to clean up the mess after the death. So the will is really important, and for people who haven't made that up, if you go to a notary public or one of the people that are doing those kinds of things, they have the paperwork there and they'll guide you through it. And when you're all finished, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable because you'll know that you've made about all the moves and the stuff that you own is being passed on properly to people in the family, and your death wishes are all covered too at the same time. So we would recommend, if you haven't got that, to also consider going to see a notary and get yours done up. It's about a $450 bill, but it gets things in order and helps them sort out the human mind. And so in there you cover the distribution of all your stuff, with your house and your car and your boats and all that kind of stuff, and the money that you got in your accounts. How that's usually normally it's left to the wife. If you're still married, it's left to the wife, and then after she passes away, it's split then between the remaining members of the family. Pretty basic stuff. And some other things that are important. It's important to have a transfer form signed for the vehicles if you have your vehicles in joint names. It's nice to have a signed transfer form from that so you can pass that on when the time comes when the vehicle is sold. And quite often we find that no will is, we've had several seniors where we found that they had no will. And one particular friend of mine, he said, "What would I want a will for?" I said, because his wife had died a couple of years ago, actually about 5 years ago. He said, "Why would I want a will? I'll be dead." And we said to him, you have all this property now. You probably got $600,000 worth of property and a house and a nice car. And if you don't just point out who should get that, it's going to be evaluated by the government, and a lot of that value is going to be taken back by the government. So you have to sit down and do that. And it's a great thing for your family because it guides them, and it also provides some support for them during a bad time, and also gives them an idea about the distribution, how it should go, how your wishes are. Now, the other thing that we talked about is sometimes people wonder why we're talking about it, because we're talking about arranging for your death requirements before you're there. Now, we're talking about a prepaid funeral. So if you have any extra money, or you can have life insurance if you want to buy life insurance policy to cover that, but if you have the extra money, you can actually just go down to the funeral home and arrange for a prepaid funeral. So you find out what the cost is, and you can buy the coffin, and you can buy a marker stone for it as well, and put that all that cost will be added into the prepayment. So the nice part about that is you point out for your family or your wife what you want, and your wife should be involved in the decision as well and the plan. Means you would choose a funeral plot in a cemetery near you, one that you like, and you both decide on what spot you want, and you decide whether you want cremation or whether you want a regular burial. If it's a regular burial, you have to have a casket, and there's a cost of the casket and the digging and all that kind of stuff that's involved in doing the funeral. And then there's a gravestone, a marker. Now, in my particular case, it was my wife. She wanted to be cremated, and she didn't want any big splash. So she said, "It's a nice one. I'll write up in the paper. We'll be fine." And her ashes were spread in various places that she wanted them spread. In my particular case, mine is prepaid. I've chose cremation, prepaid, and my two sons were with me when we spread the ashes for my wife, so they know exactly where to put the ashes. Now I have something different in my makeup. I have the ashes being spread, and also we have a grave marker up in the northern part of BC where we both went to school. The stone is already in place. The only thing that has to be put in, the birth dates are on there, but the death dates are not there yet, so they have to be put on afterwards. So the idea is to save about half of the ashes for both people, and they be spread on the grave when the death of the last person occurs. And that information is put in writing, and the people know what we want. Now, if something happens, it's out of the ordinary, and they can't do it, it's okay. The ashes can be spread here in the Kootenay region, where my wife's ashes are, and that completes the whole operation. And the nice part about the prepaying of the funeral is you choose the method by yourself, and the family just follow your wishes. Now, the other thing that doesn't get talked about that's really important is there's a new system of law in Canada now that's called the Right to Die with Dignity, or MAID, Medical Assistance in Death. Some people don't want to talk about it because they're religious, and that's their choice, and that's up to them to decide what they want to do at end of life. But in my particular case, I watched my wife die over 5 years, coughing up blood and passing out on the floor, and it wasn't pretty. The kids were involved in that, and they seen that too, and it wasn't pretty. So at the very end, the doctor came into her room one day. She was at the hospital for a couple of days, and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't fix your wife, and the specialist can't fix her, and we can't do a lung transplant." So I said to him, I said, "How long does she got?" He said, "Well, somewhere maybe 3 months, 3 to 4 months, but you can prove me wrong." So my wife looked at me and said, "Look, if my heart ever stops, don't start it, because my life right now is no good. I'm spending too much time laying on the floor puking up blood." Very unsightly thing. So about a week later, she was at the hospital waiting for a blood test, and she had a heart attack. She folded over in the wheelchair, and I couldn't set her up again, so I rolled her in the emergency ward, and they said she'd had a massive stroke, and they were trying to put something in her mouth and trying to bring her back, and I said, "No, don't do that. We have to. It's emergency ward." I said, "No, my wife told me that she didn't be brought back to life if she had a stroke. So I'm asking you not to do what you're doing and just let her die. If she's dead now, just leave her that way, because there's no value to her life anymore." So in my particular case, my Right to Die with Dignity forms are made up. You get them off the internet, download them, take them to your doctor, have them filled out. They send them to Kelowna. They're registered in the system, and they issue another doctor. You have a second doctor who checks you over. They want to know what kind of shape you're in now. And I was told by both my doctors, "You're in too good a shape." I said, "Yes, that may be so today, but who knows, 1 year or 2 years down the lane, I might have a minor stroke or something, and I'll be incapacitated, or I might have Alzheimer's so bad I don't know what's going on anymore." So in the Right to Die with Dignity forms, mine say, if I'm ever in the hospital with a major disease and I've only got a few months to live, or I have Alzheimer's so bad I don't know my family anymore, I give them the right to go and see the doctor, and the doctor comes and checks you, and the two doctors, and the one that does the injection comes, and they talk to the family, and they do evaluation of you and verify that the condition that you stated is there, and they agree with the family, and they put you to sleep, and it's a forever sleep. And it's the kindness that takes confusion away. It gives you a right to die with dignity, gives you a nice easy out, nice sleep. Same thing that you would have if you had an operation and didn't wake up. So that's one way of making it easier, and it takes the pain and suffering away from those decisions for your family. Makes it easier to understand. And there was a couple of other things we talked about that makes life easier. And these things are known things that are being done now, and we don't want to leave the impression that we know it all. Nobody knows it all, but this is experience that has happened. Anything that we can do to have our bills on an auto pay system, if you've got rent and you have car insurance and stuff like that, and these bills that come in on a monthly basis, you can simply go to the bank and make arrangements for them to do an auto pay. So at the end of the month, the bills all come in. Like I use a debit card, which is a bank debit card, and I have 2 credit cards. When I buy things on either of those purchase method, the invoice goes to the bank, and the bank pay them automatically out of my bank account. And at the end of the month, I get a little bit of a resume sheet from the bank saying how much money was spent and where it was spent, and that verifies how the money was being spent. And that's one easy way to prevent us forgetting. Because as we get older, we have all these things piling up, and somebody's got to pay them. Now, when you get to the point where you can't drive anymore, it creates a hardship because you got to go down to the bank and pay all these bills. If you let it being done on the automatic system, that means the bills keep flowing automatically. As long as you see a master sheet, or your power of attorney person sees the master sheet, you know that the money is being spent properly. And the other thing that we talked about, which is really makes it easier for people, is you get to the point when in the medical system we may be taking 4 or 5 pills a day where the doctor is prescribing medications for you, whether it's high blood pressure or heart problems or whatever. But when you get your pills now, if you talk to the pharmacist, they have these little pill packs. They're a little plastic pill pack, and what they do is they put all your pills in little slots. You've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the days of the week and all the days of the month. So the pills are put in the morning, afternoon slots, or wherever they go in the evening, and all the pills, and you can have your vitamins put in there too. So what you do is, I get mine for 2 months. So about the 6 months, the 6th week, I go down and the pill packs are ready, and I pay for them, take them home. And then you just simply open them up on a daily basis and take the pills that are in those packs and swallow them. The only problem is if a doctor changes their pills, sometimes you got to go back and have one pill taken out and another one put in its place. But they do that automatically, like in Walmart and stuff like that. So these suggestions are just something to make things easier. So I'm sure that there's somebody out there who has some things working a lot better for them than what we're doing. But this is to stimulate some discussion. And think about it. If our mind is healthy today, we're still driving and walking and talking, we might as well admit to ourselves we're going to get older and a day will come when we might not be able to do that. So if we can prepare ourselves and have our bills paid automatically and looked after like that, and with my rent, what I do with my rent, I just, when the rent increase happens, if one happens, sometimes it goes up by $20 or $30 a month. At the end of the year, we get a new figure, and they tell us how much a month they will charge us. So I simply write 12 post-dated checks in the amount and give them to the apartment manager. And each month they just take one check and cash it, take one more check and cash it. That goes on for a year. And so that means that I can't forget. There's less chance of me forgetting to pay the darn thing. Otherwise, they have to come banging on my door looking for me every month for the check. So much easier. It's kind of a scheduling thing to have them happen. So I think those are things that can help each of us. And if we can make life easier for our members of our family, It's so much better, and they learn in the exercise of doing it. Now, I have put together a string binder. In my string ring binder, it's a big binder you buy downtown, any bookstore or Walmart. It has removable pages, or plastic pages, page protectors. So what I did with all my stuff, with my all my medical cards, driver's license, and all that kind of stuff, I took them down and laid them on the cards onto a photocopy machine, and I got a one page with all my cards. And I just put that one page into the ring binder. And in the ring binder is a copy of my will and my power of attorney. And there's a sheet in there with a copy of the information on my credit cards. And if there's a finance agreement, like with a car, there's a copy of the registration, so it's signed, so that it can be passed on to the person at the very end when the car is sold. And everything that has to be done, like the prepaid funeral, there's a copy of that in the ring binder. So anything we can do for our family or the power of attorney person who's going to be looking after that stuff, they've got to go digging through all the stuff to find receipts for this and receipts for that. So you might as well have a copy of your power bill and all that stuff there, your electrical bill, and put it into a ring binder. And when the person opens up, they open it up and say, oh, well, this has got to be done, this has got to be done. And they just tick it off and go through the whole thing. Otherwise, they've got to go through your wallet and all your paperwork to find stuff that has to be done near the bitter end. So anything that we can do to prepare the way for the people who are following us, it makes our life easier, because it makes us work hard to do that, and just pretend that you're on the person on the receiving end, and you're going to have to dispose of the house, or the copy of the purchase agreement for the home, the ownership, and all that stuff is there in the ring binder. So these are simple suggestions that make a lot of sense, and it's being done by some people, and some people are not doing it. And we're just hoping that this discussion will stimulate some discussion with other people, and we can have some learning happen between people's minds. It's called a meeting of the minds. So I wanted to thank you for your time, and don't be afraid to throw some rocks at this presentation. If there's something in here that, if you've got a better idea, put together a presentation and share it. That way we can share with one another and learn from one another. And as we get older, it's important that we leave information for our family members. And if we can pass some on to other seniors, it's good. So let's share and learn from each other, and have yourself a great day. Tomorrow is going to be a better day yet. Bye for now.